just remember, as long as you're breathing, there's still opportunity to do the things that you want to do. And there are many ways to do that. So when you get discouraged, just know that as long as you're breathing, there's still opportunity.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Helping with Dr. Richard Schuster. Food for the brain, knowledge from the experts, tools to win at life. I'm your host, Dr. Richard. Whoever you are, wherever you're from, and whatever you do, this is the show that is going to help you become the best version of yourself. Each episode, you will hear from some of the most amazing, talented, and successful people on the planet who followed their passions and strive to help others. Join our movement to get 1 million people each day to commit acts of kindness for others. Together, we're going to make the world a better place. Are you ready? Because it's time for your Daily Helping. Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Daily Helping Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Richard, and we are on location at Athletes Voices, an event empowering athletes who are changing the world. There's a series of these podcasts. This is one of them. And I'm really excited about our guest today. His name is Patrick Willis, the 49ers Hall of Fame linebacker, played all of his 8 seasons in the NFL with the San Francisco 49ers, earning 7 Pro Bowl nominations, named NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year in 2007, and is a 2-time NFL tackles leader. He played his collegiate football at Ole Miss, where he was an All-American and SEC and the 2006 SEC Defensive Player of the Year. Now he focuses on his foundation, the Whinkers Mind Youth Fund, to help transform communities through the potential of youth. Through the Whinkers Mind Youth Fund, Patrick helps youth grow stronger in mind, body, and spirit. Patrick, welcome to the Daily Helping. I am so excited to talk to you today.
Dr. Richard, thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
We're going to have so much fun today, and we're going to help a lot of people. But I'm really excited. The beautiful thing is we just captured your collegiate career, your NFL career, but I don't talk about before. So were you from go, like you knew football was your thing? Tell us your superhero origin story. I want to go back and find out.
Yeah, so originally I'm from Tennessee, and not just from Tennessee, but I'm from a small town in West Tennessee. Brewston, Tennessee was the school that I went to. And when I was growing up, I only had 3 channels growing up. And on those 3 channels, it was 7, 11, and 16. And on channel 7 would be all the sports. And of course, back in the early 90s, the only teams that would come on those 3 channels on one of those 3 channels would be the Dallas Cowboys, the Atlanta Braves, and I can really only remember the Dallas Cowboys and Atlanta Braves. But I grew up loved watching Monday Night Football, and probably like most kids had the aspiration to become a professional athlete. So with that, like all kids, you play the sports, and really, I really just enjoyed playing sports. I mean, growing up in the South, the very rural area where I grew up, during the summertime, being out of school, stayed up with my grandmother's, most of us did. So from 8 o'clock to sundown, we would play outside nonstop, anything that we could, any ball, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, kickball, hide and go seek, whatever it was, we just, if we had a ball to it, we just got out there and we try to go at it. And then, of course, like I said, watching, the NFL teams or whatnot, you always had your favorite players that you inspired to be like. And so, yeah, just throughout the years, I think it was about the 6th grade when I had that. The 6th grade was one of those moments that I had that I felt like, man, I just saw something that it was a vision that I had. And it was, I was watching Monday Night Football one night. I was going on, when I was a kid, about 8 years old, my step grandfather had a stroke. And I never forget, after he had that stroke, us getting him to the house and my grandmother asking my brother and I, because we live closer than most of the grandkids, she said, "Baby, I'm going to need y'all to help grandmother, put, granddaddy in bed every night." And I never forget the most fun nights were Monday nights, because that's when Monday Night Football would come on. And what made this night very interesting was because where I grew up, there was a bunch of lightning bugs. When I grew up, there was lightning bugs everywhere in the country. And I never forget, I used to always, whether we catching them in jars or whether we be running through and you might mess around and eat one. But I just remember running through and just seeing all the lightning bugs. And it was one Monday night that I'm watching a football game, and I never forget, the ball was kicked off. And back then in the early 90s, mid 90s, Monday Night Football was like the Super Bowl is now when it came on TV. And I never forget watching the ball being kicked off and all those flickering lights going off. And I had a moment where I was like, wait a minute, what's the difference between running through these lightning bugs and then being in front of all those lights? If I'm running through the lightning bugs, I'm like, I'm Emmitt Smith, I'm Michael Irvin, I'm this player, I'm that player. And so that was one of those moments that I felt like I was watching TV and I was wide awake. And it was like a vision. It was a vision that I saw. And I remember being like, wait a minute, I wasn't dreaming. Like, I was wide awake. And so that was a big moment for me. So yeah, there's plenty of others, but I stop talking now.
No, it's great. It sounds like, you said, if I recall, about the 6th grade is when this kind of solidified for you. And so, when a young person says to their friends, their family, I'm going to be an NFL player, I'm going to be an astronaut, I'm going to win American Idol, whatever it is, I'm curious, what was the reaction? What was the support like? What was that experience like for you once you basically said to the world, this is my goal?
Yeah, there was a moment that something like that really happened. I was in the 8th grade. I was getting ready to go into my freshman year. And when you're in 8th grade going into your freshman, that's when you now start to pick whether you're going to go college or whether you're going to go university, dual path, and or technical path. And I went to a majority. My school is really small. I only graduated with 40 people. And that's how many people I graduated with. I think the biggest class might have been 60. So I was one of the smaller classes. But this particular day, we're getting ready to pick our elective, whether it's university, dual, or technical. And I remember looking around, and in the 40 people, it's probably about 6 of us African-American kids. And the teacher said, she asked, I raised my hand because I wasn't sure which one was which. I just noticed when she asked university and technical and dual, the technical, most of the black kids raised their hands, and then some, in the middle, but nobody, no black kid raised their hand for the university path. And I just remember being like, well, I want to go to the university. Like, if all of them can go to the university, why can't I? And I never forget, I raised my hand to ask her a question, because I've always been the one I ask them 101 questions. Even if I think I might know, I still ask just so I can get get a clear, be clear about what it is. And so I asked her, and she says, well, what do you want to do? I said, well, first, and she didn't give me a chance to say the second part. I said, well, first, I want to be a professional athlete. And then second, but she didn't, but before I could get into the second, and maybe she was just doing her job, she said, well, less than 1%, makes it to the NFL. So you're going to have to, and when she said that in front of everybody, I felt like she was like belittling me. And again, maybe I understand now looking back at statistics, but she said less than 1%. And I said in front of the whole classroom, I said, well, I guess I'll be in that less than 1%. And that was that day from then on that I was like, you can't say this in front of the whole classroom and be this confident and not give everything you have to obtain it. And just, man, through grace and hard work and luck and, help here and there, the rest is history.
Out of curiosity, have you ever crossed paths with that teacher again?
I haven't crossed paths with her like where we get to make eye contact, but I have been in the same place as her. But for me, it was one of those things where again there were many. I understand now looking back, and I'm also one of those type of people that I may feel it inside that, you was able to prove yourself right and maybe someone else wrong, but I'm not that type of person to go in somebody's face and say, look, I told you this what you get, none of that. So I just kind of smile with that, I'm humble, I'm humbled. So.
I love that. So I want to jump forward now. We're going to fast forward in time. You had your successful career at Ole Miss, and that's understating it, obviously. And now you're in the NFL. So you're living your dream. You're no longer seeing the bright lights of the lightning bug. You're getting the flicker, right? You're
Yes,
seeing the flash of the crowd. You're a Niner. At what point? Because I know the shelf life, so to speak, of a professional athlete, particularly an NFL athlete, is very short. And you played statistically longer than most play, and at a very, very high level. At what point did you start thinking about two things? One, what's next? But let's start there. At what point did you start thinking about life after football?
Really, I had always thought about it. I thought about it my rookie year. The reason why I say I thought about my rookie year was because before I ever became an NFL player, I'd always heard that NFL stood not for long. And so for me, I was like, man, like, well, how do you know how long to go? How do you know when to retire? And I remember in my rookie year, just going up to some of the old heads. There were three of the older guys on my team, veteran guys on my team. And I was asking them a question. This is my first training camp practice. And they looked at me like I was crazy. It's before practice had even started. I said, how do you guys know when it's time to retire? And after I asked three of the guys, nobody had gave me an answer that I was looking for. And so I said, well, Lord, I guess it'd be when I no longer have that passion to play and give my teammates, give myself, give my teammates, give the organization everything I have. I said, I think it'd be time to step away and go figure out the next phase, because what I didn't want to do was what I had saw in older guys that I admired, that I felt like they had just stayed and was just getting knocked around and pushed around. I was just wondering, like, man, why do y'all want to go out like that? Why would you not go out, when you're on top? So I just told myself, you just have to be honest with yourself when and I always played the game because I loved it. I enjoyed sports. I enjoyed everything about it. And I just told myself one day it's going to end. And when it does, you have to figure out the next phase of life. And so I'd always had it in the back of my mind, but it's like being young. You don't never think. It's like being young. One day you're going to pass. You're going to leave this world, but you don't think about it a whole lot until you get on older or some things happen. And so that's kind of how it was, early on, you just going at it. But in the last couple of years, I started to feel, man, I think I feel the sun setting. So.
Yeah, that's a great response. And I think, that you came into the league with the, not that you were counting on it from day one, but in the back of your mind, you knew this was going to be short-lived. And so my next question that I wanted to ask you, you're doing so much in the world of philanthropy, and we're going to talk a lot about that, Patrick, but when did you realize, like, did you know coming into the league that, okay, now I'm going to have a spotlight here, I have to leverage that to help a lot of people, or did that kind of organically develop over time?
Yes, Dr. Richard, it was actually organic. Coming from, I didn't give a lot of context earlier, but I was raised a single parent, and being raised a single parent, it was four of us, two, and then it was four of us. It's a little bit more to the story, but being raised by a single parent, things were we didn't always have a whole lot, and barely had what we needed, and doing with that, there were times that, different organizations, different people, whether it's hand-me-down clothes, whether it's, a toy drive, whether it's a Thanksgiving angel tree, providing, a turkey for, my family around the Thanksgiving time, those things I was very appreciative of, and I was very grateful for, that person or those people. And so I just always told myself that, along the way, as I live, and then hopefully one day, get in that position to be able to just, you can just do as much as you would like to do, that I would do that. And so that has always been something that I have carried with me. And when I got to the Niners, I never forget, it was one of those things, as soon as I found out on our off day that, the Niners done a whole lot of, charitable work and giving back, to the community here and there, I was like, man, this is a no-brainer. This is the things that helped me at times when, being hungry, not having, a whole lot of, this or that, I want to make sure that I'm able to, give back, give that helping hand back in the way it was given to me. So.
Hey guys, Dr. Richard here. For the past 7 years, I've been privileged to bring you incredible guests who are changing the world and can help you become the best version of yourself. I'm really excited to share with you a new quiz that I created based on my clinical training that will curate for you a custom list of my top episodes and actionable strategies to help you wherever you are on your journey. All you need to do is go to drrichardschuster.com to take it, and it's 100% free. You'll be taking the next step on the journey to unlocking the power of you, and I can't wait to see where you'll go. I love that response. It's so different when only a person who experiences adversity can really understand it. Like, it's one thing, you shared a bit about your upbringing and the challenges that your family faced, but unless you've been in those shoes, it's really hard to understand. And so I'm wondering, as you realize that you were in this spotlight, this position that very few people ever get to attain, what was the spark for what you're doing with the Whinkers Mind Foundation? Because I want to really spend some time and talk about why you're so passionate about it, and let's start there.
Yes, sir. So the spark that really started the Whinkers Mind Youth Fund Foundation was really something that I've always carried with me. Not so much the name, but more so just understanding that fitness was that one thing that really helped me to become confident in myself. When I was growing up, I grew up with a lot of siblings. I had a lot of siblings, had a few siblings, but I had a lot of cousins as well. And what I noticed growing up was, excuse me, I was lightly made fun of because, I wasn't the shape or the size of, some of my other cousins around me or whatnot. They had abs, they had the muscles. And I used to ask God, God, how come I don't have muscles like that? How come you gave me, I kind of chubby a little bit, and just, all the things that, just being young and insecure, I suppose, I don't know what you call it when you're that young. I just know that, I just felt the way I felt. But I just remember it was the 6th grade that I just started doing push-ups, and I started doing set-ups and pull-ups at the gym, and anywhere I could have space, I would do whatever I could to try to just, get some kind of muscles, get something. And so, so now I get to be so now here I am, I'm with Joanne. What she had told me, she said, hey, there's this event happening in Palo Alto. If you don't have anything going on, we would love for you to come by and check it out, be a part of it if you had the time. And I was just chilling at the house at the time. I was like, you know what, Joanne asked, and I'm like, I have to go check this out, And so I did, and I never forget seeing this fitness zone and where it was set up, what it entailed. And right then and there, it hit me that, wow, this would be something that no one could have an excuse at why they cannot get active and or stay fit. And when I say no one, I mean no one, because this fitness zone, it is accessible to anyone, whether it's, you're paraplegic, whether you're a youth, whether you're young and or old, you can get out and you can use this machine because it's a weightless machine. So you ain't like you're not intimidated by, seeing somebody else do a whole lot of work. This is really just you working with your own body weight. And I'm a firm believer that, you must be able to work with what you have first, really well, to really be able to thrive in things that are outside yourself. And so, yeah, this fitness zone was one of those things I felt was very universal and everyone could use.
So the foundation is this a foundation that you started, or that it existed already and you just really put your energy towards growing it?
Yes. So the Whinkers Mind Youth Fund, the Whinkers Mind Youth Fund Foundation is a foundation that I started myself.
Okay.
But it's predicated off this fitness zone. It's pretty much predicated around this fitness zone that's accessible to all.
So are you building these fitness zones in different places? Is that the mission of what you're doing?
Yes, sir. Yes, Dr. Richard. So what I'm doing is, so the motto behind the Whinkers Mind Youth Fund Foundation is, it's about building and transforming communities where the will is to rise and the opportunity is provided for all. And these fitness zones are primarily for underprivileged areas that need that spark, that need that outlet, that needs that place to where, again, whether you are, I just collaborated with a former teammate of mine, Eric Reed. Shout out Eric Reed. But him and I did one for Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where he's from. And what I loved the most about it was, though it appears to be for, your handicap, paraplegics, youth, and also, elder, it's also accessible to, the programs such as the Salvation Army was telling me that, man, we are so excited. We're going to we've already setting up programs for our alcohol and for our substance abuse program. We want to be able to have a place for them to take 30 minutes or hours to go work out so they can get to my, when they started talking like that, it made me smile that much more, because now it's even more than just, what it was about before. So
tell us about the name. The name is interesting.
The Whinkers Mind,
Yep.
The Whinkers Mind Youth Fund. So the Whinkers Mind is something that I named myself, and what it is two words put together. And what is it? So it's two words put together, and the Whinkers Mind. So in Old English, they have, and the reason why it's spelled WH is because in Old English, I was reading one time. I like to read now, especially after I retired. I started reading a whole lot more. But I remember I was reading this Old English, and they had these words, from hence I come and from whence I come. And I'm like, man, what is this whence and from hence? Like, what's the origin behind it? And I learned that hence is talking about here. From here I come, and from whence it means from where I come. And I'm a type of person that I was really studying the mind and everything around those times, still do now. And I was like, man, where do these thoughts that I have come from? Like, why do I think the way why do I think the way I think? Like, where do they come from? And I realized that they was from here. And so I just able to take two words and put them together and just kind of go from there.
I'd love for you to share a story. Some of the coolest things that when you put these great endeavors out into the world, that there are these ripple effects, these unexpected, really amazing things that happen. Give us a story, a success story, an unexpected blessing, a gift that came out of what the work you're doing.
Yes, Dr. Richard. So And I've only done two so far. I've done one from my hometown, and I just collaborated and done one with Eric Reed. And in both of those, what I enjoyed most was after you put something, after you put up a project, then it's all about, is it going to be used? Is anyone going to use it? And I never forget, when I done my first one in my hometown, I let some hours go by. I went, saw some other people, and then I say, let me slide back through where we put it at and see if anybody is even out there using it. And we did. I drove back past there, and I stopped. And when I stopped, I was looking out there, and I saw a classmate of mine's brother and his kids out there, and they were using the machine and having a great time. And then I would just smile. I was like, let me just go down here and mess around with it. And all of a sudden, I saw this young kid and his mom and their sister playing on it. And he and I done some setups on it and whatnot. He done some pull-ups, and I was just like, let me tell you how many push-ups. Let me tell you pull-ups you can do. And he done a pull-up, and just so it was just knowing that you put something up and it's being used for a great cause. I mean, that's more than enough. So
I love it. Patrick, our time together has flown by, and I've enjoyed every second of it. I always wrap up my show by asking my guests this one question, and that is, what is your biggest helping, the one most important piece of information you'd like somebody to walk away with after hearing you in our conversation today?
Yes, Dr. Richard. The biggest thing that I could probably share with anyone is just remember, as long as you're breathing, there's still opportunity to do the things that you want to do. And there are many ways to do that. So when you get discouraged, just know that as long as you're breathing, there's still opportunity.
I love that. Tell us where people can find out more about your foundation online and how they can contribute.
Yes. If you would like to find out more, you can go to www.thewinkersmind.com, and you can see on there the Whinkers Mind Youth Fund.
Awesome. And for those of you who are in a fitness place right now, we got you covered. We're going to have everything Patrick Willis in the show notes at thedailyhelping.com, including the link to the Whinkers Mind Foundation so that you can check it out and hopefully contribute. Patrick, thank you so much for coming on The Daily Helping. I have loved our discussion today.
Dr. Richard, it was an honor to be on The Daily Help. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Patrick. And to each and every one of you who took time out of your busy day to listen to this, thank you as well. If you like what you heard, go give us a follow on Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star review, because that is what helps other people find the show. But most importantly, go out there today and do something nice for somebody else, even if you don't know who they are, and post in your social media feeds using the hashtag MyDailyHelping, because the happiest people are those that help others.